All right, so today, once again, we're going to put a final walkthrough on the application process. So, um,
Yes, I can see the Iqbal.
okay, good. So, say that you are planning, you've done your list and you've got all the top universities, all the universities that you have selected in three groups, in three categories, the dream school, the target school, and the backup schools. And you've made like 3 to 4 options out of that. You've prepared all your application. That includes the statement of purpose, your resume, and your recommendation letters. And if there are any research statements, which is unlikely for masters, for PhD, they might ask for research statements or research proposals. But for masters, there is no such thing. Generally, no. That's why we did not cover that. So let's see. In the case of, for example, Oxford computer science. So um, you come to their portal. It's not that difficult. You just write Oxford MS MS as in Masters of Science in Computer Science. You come to the admission status. So this kind of status is available on any application on any university. So they have this bit of information on their website, on their admissions portal. Okay, so pay attention that this is the admissions part, not the academics part. And you can check that it's currently closed for Oxford, and it'll open more often than not. The application process happens in the fall for most universities. So if you want to apply for fall 2025, then you have to make your applications in 2024 fall. So in autumn, in other words, fall. And the application deadlines are usually the end of the year. In this case, for example, it's February the 5th, sorry, January the 5th, for the next round. So it will be the same thing repeated. Okay. So let's go to uh, University of Illinois. Yeah, Urbana-Champaign MS in CS. Um, and I'm showing MS in CS because it's more uh, sort of like related to me. Yeah, as you can see, I accidentally came into the academics portal, not the admissions portal. So I can come to admissions portal, or admissions section, which any university would have. So admissions like applying to the university. And the graduate admissions and graduate admissions. In your case, it would be graduate admissions. You go to apply now, and there's a whole list of instructions that you can read through. Again, when you come to that point, they usually ask you to go through this list, check that you have the minimum requirements, select the program of study that you want, go to the application instructions. This is essentially what we are currently doing in this session, application instruction. Additional information for, in our case, international applicants. So what might be additional is your IELTS score that is not required from domestic students. IELTS score is probably the only thing that's required from you additionally because your first language is not English. Proposed graduate program, any other program. So sometimes we have exchange students, non-degree institutions, and so on. So for example, Juris Doctor applicants should directly to apply to College of Law. In our case, our legal guy would have gone through this path rather than this application process. Again, the same for veterinary medicine, it's a different thing, and some FAQ. FAQs are very important, especially when you are talking about application fees. And the first question, as you can see in the application fees in the FAQ, is application fee waiver. It's a good thing. Check it out. It might be possible that you get application fee waivers. Some universities do provide it. Unfortunately, Illinois does not provide any waivers for international students. Domestic, they have application fee waivers. But this means is that you'll have to pay this around $100 for the application process, and there's a lot more for each topic. So let's return, make sure that you go through the FAQ, all right? Let's go to the application portal. This is the actual portal. You'll have to create an account. Let's just create one. First name is John Sobirov. And then maybe I should just change this. Okay. You guys are still here, right?
Yes, personally, I'm here.
All right. So I was just asking for several, just a regular privacy statement. You just say everything's fine, and they send the. I get the pin. Provide the pin. Which date I did? I think this was the date. And yeah, this is where I have to create an account, password. You can create any password that you like. And that's it. So now you're in the application management portal. This is where you can make as many applications as you want. You don't have to get limited to one. You can make more than one application. So you start an application, create one. So as you can see, it's opened. So the current status is in progress and it's started now. And then once you submit the whole process, it says it's submitted. As of now, it is not submitted. And until you do, it will not count towards the actual process. It will not go into the admissions team. So you'll have to go in. And this is a typical, very typical US structure of the admission process. This part is navigation, and this part is where you fill in information. Okay, this is very, very similar across all the universities in the US. Navigation there and application process there. As I remember, Oxford has slightly different. The navigation is here, like navigation is on the top, and then application process is at the bottom. But it really doesn't matter. So you've got a bit of a navigation for each section of the different navigation points for each section of the application. Do make sure to read the instructions. Most people, or I don't know, the younger generation, they don't read the instructions somehow. Do make sure that you go through what's written there. It's usually a general piece of information, like what resources you can use, what program is required, as you can see, and transcripts and English proficiency. So in our case, IELTS requirement, 7.5 for full status admission, so 6 to 7 for status. This again changes, this IELTS requirements changes depending on the program that you're choosing. International, $90 application fee that you have to pay. That comes in the end, unless you pay it. You have to pay it, otherwise it will not count. Okay. So we say everything is fine. I understood everything, and they will have to fill in the personal information. There's nothing important there. So we go, not Uruguay, no. And then you provide, okay, I got some personal information coming up there. Some street, some region, in Tashkent, for example. And city is Tashkent, region, again, Tashkent. And the postal code can be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Mailing is the same as a permanent. This is your email address as of now, and some personal information are going into the recording, but fine. Just provide your country code with a plus 998 in our case, and then I don't know, whatever numbers you have. Gender. Gender only 2. Okay, let's just continue. Select Uzbekistan. You don't have any. If you have a dual citizenship, you can provide one, but Uzbekistan does not allow that. But let's continue. So in our case, you're going to need a visa. You have to request some sort of visa eligibility, and so I-20 is the one that you need for studying, as far as I remember. And the other cases, as you can see, are completely different. DS form is usually when you are going there to work. Like if you're going for work and travel program, you would want to get a DS form. If you're going for studying, this is F1 visa or I-20. I-20 will be sent by the university later on. This, in your case, it'll be initial time, that the first time that you're going, you're not changing your level, you're not transferring, you're not changing your status. It's the first time you're going to the US, so you're going to need the first application. Um, any dependent, in your case, I don't think anyone is married. So if you dependent usually means your wife or your husband and your kids, your children. If you're not married, it's a no. If you are married, then it's a yes, and you'll have to fill in the information of your dependent as well. Country of residence again, birth city, for example, I'm from Andijan, and birth country is Uzbekistan. And passport and proof of funding documentation that's required for an I-20. So this would be just uploading your passport copy. Let's just upload this guy. And proof of funding, which is a bank statement that indicates that you have enough funding for just to support yourself throughout your studies. Let's just upload this random picture. So this thing is, in the US, there is something called legacy students. So legacy students are the ones that whose parents went to the same institution as you did, as you are planning to. So in other words, if you're applying to Illinois and your parents went to Illinois, you're considered a legacy student. And this information about your parents' education sometimes helps, sometimes doesn't help. So some scholarships might be, some scholarship may be providing this funding if you are the first person in your family to be studying a higher degree. So you can prefer not to say, you can say that my parents have an undergraduate or bachelor's degree, which is the case for most people in Uzbekistan. If it's not, you can just say this, or you can just say prefer not to say. Does it affect your admission? It's hard to say. Sometimes they might be interested in specifically this information, but it's unlikely that it has quite a lot of effect. Now, residency and personal information is done. The program is where you can make as many choices as you want. Have you attended or applied to University of Illinois before? Okay. Yeah, Jasmina, go ahead.
Regarding to the first part that you have, am I audible?
Yes, but it's a bit unclear, but okay, go ahead.
Yeah, just in this case. Uh, is it better now?
Okay. I hope so.
Yeah, actually, I have a question regarding the first part where you have chosen the document for your bank account. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
If we are applying for scholarship, what should we apply? What should we upload on that part?
That depends on the university. So Illinois does not provide funding most of the time. So that's why they ask for this information. Some universities, most universities do not require that in the beginning. So only when you get admitted, then they ask you if you don't get any scholarship. So Illinois is sort of like a unique in this case because other universities, what happens is you apply with basic documents, excluding the bank statement and the passport. And only when you get admitted, once they offer a position to you, then they'll ask for additional documents. So I-20 will be given to you only if you get accepted. And yeah, so in the case of Illinois, you'll have to come up with some sort of bank statement in your account, like with some money in your account.
Yeah, I got it. And I have one more question.
Mhm.
For example, right now we're applying through directly from the platform of the university, and we know that there is also common application. And does common application work for master's degree as well, or is it only for bachelor's degree, or just college?
As far as I know, it's for bachelors. I don't know if they provide a master's degree, but let me check. It's called Common Apps. Nice. Yeah, it's only for undergraduate degree programs. Yeah, for masters, I do recommend that you don't rely on agency because, I mean, you can, but you can do the thing yourself as well. Like they'll not do anything additional. It's better that you go through the application process because when you have the capacity to do so, you understand the whole process. There's no need to involve any agencies in the process. And anyway, agencies do not usually help with the top universities. So just go through the process yourself. It's, as you can see, there's like what, 8 different sections or so that you have to fill in, and that's all there is. Um, so going back, have you attended anything or applied? No. This is the first time we're trying this. If you did, then you'll say yes and then provide the information about when you did that. And are you a current or previous employee of any campus? In our case, it would be no. And this is where you would want to select the field of study. So it can be computer science, it can be economics, and we have finance guy, well, finance person here, right? See, yeah, there's finance and there's financial engineering. So you can select finance, you can select any other field that is interesting to you. So again, the ones that are related to law and medical schools are not here as far as I understand. So business analytics is here. Small John was interested in this. So let's go for computer science. And once you go in there, there's a whole bunch of degrees. Now, these degrees, you'll have to go through them online from their portal to understand the differences between them. MS is Master of Science, PhD is Philosophy Doctorate or Doctor of Philosophy. BS and MS is, as far as I remember, it's a leading degree where you do BS and MS together. MSc, I don't quite remember what was it. And computer science by informatics as a separate computer Masters of Science and so on. Some online courses. So let's just pure MS. And again, if admitted to the master's program, do you intend to continue for a doctorate program? So in the US, which is sometimes a good thing, sometimes a bad thing, but once you apply for masters, you have the option to continue directly in the doctorate degree or a PhD right away. And some universities like MIT does not give you the option to separate it. It's like together. Once you go to MIT, you'll have to study MS and the PhD together in 6 years. And you cannot just study MS, and you cannot just apply for PhD. It's together. So Illinois is giving you the option. You can say yes or no, depending on your intention. And which of the following describes your previous background, anything that you have earned or in the progress of earning it. So in our case, it would be other, honestly, if you're applying from Westminster, because it would be BIS or Business Information Systems in full, actually. Is it still BIS or is it computing now?
It was WIS last year.
Okay, then yeah, Business Information Systems. And yeah, Shadia and Jasmina, in your case, the program will be different, and the degree that you're interested still be computer science. So let's check finance, for example. By the way, finance is something that you guys want, right?
Actually, my major is economics with finance, not finance.
And my major is finance.
Okay, there's economics and there's finance. Like, what do you intend to do for masters, let's say? We can check that.
Okay.
Okay.
Here I have one question. Can you choose two majors for on masters? Like, I have heard that on US we can choose two majors if they are able, of course, to study on bachelor's. And is it also possible on master's degree?
That depends on the program. So some universities give you their option where you can major in one subject and minor in another subject. But for example, finance seems that there is nothing else. There is finance and finance of Master of Science in Finance and Master of Science in PhD, and there's nothing else. But yeah, that depends on the university.
I got it.
All right, so let's go back. And this part is quite important. Maybe we did not really talk about it. So this section and this section which plays a good role, and it plays a good role in your SOP as well, in your statement of purpose as well. Because masters is not just studying, but doing real research, you have to understand that you're going to be doing some research, some amount of research, and therefore you'll have to select something that you're interested in that field. Right? So the first choice, we can just say, in my case, it would be AI, and the second choice would be bioinformatics and computational biology. And the third choice may be data information systems or theory and algorithms or traditional software engineering. Scientific computing might be another interesting thing for me. Let's just go with theory and algorithms. And this is your research interest, your personal research interests, okay? And this is something that you will be working on and as your research thesis. And yeah. So anyway, the second part is select up to 5 faculty members. Faculty members are essentially professors. And again, this is purely based on your interest that you'd like to work with. And there's a whole bunch of professors, and don't make the random choices. Okay. Come back here. Look at your research interest, your personal research interest, and you'll have to go. Fortunately, you'll have to go and check every professor that you're interested in working with. As you can see, it's very easy. It's not that difficult. So they already provided the link, and they usually do. So if they do, come to that, and as you can see, there are research areas, so we can select AI, and under faculty, you've got the whole bunch of people who work on the same topic, and their interests, their research interests. Okay. So for example, if you're not interested in robot motion and task planning and multi-agent systems and crowd simulation, you can immediately exclude that person and move on to the next person and go through their research interests and pick the ones that you like to work with. Let's say, okay. So for example, probabilistic graph models, deep learning, data science, health analytics, safety, reliability, and security of autonomous systems, and reinforcement learning. So, okay, this is something that I'm interested in. You go into that person's profile, get a better understanding of who they are, what kind of a background they have, and if they have any other positions. In the US, they usually do not post if they have any academic positions. I mean, this is academic positions of that person, but um, open positions. In the UK, they do put open positions, and if they are hiring PhD students, that's even better, because if they are saying that I have an open position for PhD and then you're applying for PhD, that means very likely that professor will be interested in you. And a more detailed information of their interests and some research papers that you might be interested in, and so on. Okay, so where's the person's name? Ayer. You come back and choose Ayer, affiliate professor, and so on. Go through a couple others, and you can select based on your research that you have done. You'll select people, and that's it. So interesting. They also have information about TA. TA is teacher assistantship. It's a perfect thing if you want to get funding. I think we talked about funding TA when we were talking about funding opportunities. I originally am originally from or have attended from these universities. You don't have that. So in your case, it'd be you have a valid IELTS test with a speaking section of 8 at least or higher, and the other sections a total of 6.5. It's not that difficult, but yeah, speaking section should be 8 in order for you to become a teaching assistant. What does that mean is you help a professor with their courses, with their labs and so on. And if you do, you'll get very good funding. So that funding covers all your tuition, and it also provides you some level of stipend, monthly stipend, which is good enough, I think, to leave. This is RA, and this is TA, and this is RA. RA is research assistantship. This is again where you work with a professor, help their research. And as you can see, this speaking section is not very high because you're not interacting with students at that point. And if you do have this IELTS score, please select it because it will help you get some funding. Okay, so these are the departmental funding criteria, as you can see. If you do not meet, okay. Unless you have it, unless you don't, unless you have the score, you can just say no, everything is fine. Otherwise, you can say yeah and explain it. Marketing information, just if you did attend any of the information, any of the programs that they were running, like Aspire program or graduate study program fair and so on, you can just do that, or you can just do internet search or email from the Illinois. And application fee waiver, in your case, you're not eligible. You cannot say yes because it'll ask you for information about yourself, which you don't have. So as an international student, you're not eligible for the fee waiver. Oh, that was a long one. Now, academic history, this is where you just have to add the institutions where you studied before. Institution name, for example, University of, let's go with this. Okay. So there's University of Westminster, you can choose. Uzbekistan, Tashkent. They'd say you started working there, studying there, filling out information, and upload your transcripts and certificates of degrees required. Native language of, in your case, you don't need the English translation, but if you are coming, because the degree is already in transcript is already in English, if you're coming from a local university, then you have to notarize it and translate it. Just upload that, save it, and then add if you have more institutions. I think yeah, bachelor's degree. June 2023, major in business information systems. GPA is 70 out of 100, something like this. And do you add more? If you have more, continue on. Any questions up until now? I don't want to be rushing through. Are we all clear?
No questions.
Okay. Tests. In our case, you might have an IELTS, you might have a GRE. Test date. And total score. 8, 7, 8, 9, 8. Say that this is your score, and you can add more. If you have, for example, GRE, you can add GRE. And there's verbal, quantitative, and analytical with percentiles. That's written in your certificate if you did take it. And that's it. There's nothing much here in the test scores. You continue your resume. We already talked about your curriculums, your CV, curriculum VT, and resume. Just upload that. Make sure to upload your documents in a PDF, all the documents, including transcripts, resumes, your passport, what else? Whatever document you have, you upload that as a PDF, not PNG, okay? Not as a picture. The resume part is very easy. If you make a good resume, you don't have to do anything else. And oh, this is an interesting part. We didn't have this when we were applying. Of course, at that time, AI was not there. It's about AI. While AI and search engine services can provide suggestions and guidance, it's important for applicants to reflect on their own unique experience and provide authentic and personal responses to these prompts. Okay, it just doesn't say anything in particular, but keep in mind that they will run these statements. This is a personal statement, by the way, statement of purpose. These statements are checked, plagiarism checked, and this online, this official checkers like Turnitin, if they pick up if it's written by AI, it can pick up. Okay. So be careful if you use it. Try not to use it. I mean, use it, but try not to copy paste everything from there. So please write a statement answering the following questions. As you can see, there's a word limit. So be aware of that. So the statement of purpose does not fit one single statement of purpose does not fit all the universities. So you might have to change it with respect to what they're asking. 1,000 words. So that's the maximum that you have. And as you can see, these points, these are really important that you pay attention to these points. So do not put a general statement of purpose that works for all universities. This is already giving you the structure of your SOP. How has your background or educational experience prepared you for the graduate study? And if you remember, we talked about it when you're talking about your past, you talk about the experience, you talk about some value that you got out of that experience. Okay, so how this academic background prepared you for your graduate study. So you're talking about some sort of experience and then value that you got out of it that shows that you're ready for graduate school. And what are your intellectual interests and what scholarly questions are you interested in exploring in graduate study? This should reflect back in somewhere here in the program or somewhere where we wrote about the research interests, right? I selected AI and I selected bioinformatics. So my statement of purpose should reflect these exact same research interests and the professors that are highlighted. Well, the highlight of the professors are coming here anyway. So are there any specific faculty members whose research interests align with your own that like to work? And make sure to include the names of the professors in your SOP and highlight which research topics that they are interested in. It also interests you. And this one is sort of like a overall conclusion type of question, how our program will help you achieve your academic and professional goals. So you talk about your goals and how these goals are given through or achieved through this program. And it's a program, not a university. So when we say program, we're talking about computer science, we're talking about finance and so on, okay? You upload your CV as a PDF again. Sorry, not CV, your statement of purpose. And do not say statement of purpose on top if this one says academic statement. Okay, check the university, what they're asking. If it says academic statement, go change that to academic statement if you have that like written somewhere. And this is usually common. This kind of this section is common in many applications. This is short answer questions. It is on top of your SOP, on top of your statement of purpose. So one key point is it says question 1 and 2 are required and 3 and 4 are optional. So required means required, yes. Optional also means required. Okay, you have to fill that in. Please describe an experience or challenge that may have shaped your intellectual and personal development. And try not to repeat what you have already said in the SOP. This should 250 words max. You can talk about a specific experience that you have had and tell that as a story, right? For example, what can be a good example? Let's say that when you're applying to, okay, let's see, we have a chat question. How can you find such a lot of experience stories? You're almost 20, you're around 20, yeah? You've lived like for 20 years on this planet. So you should keep some stories in mind. I personally have so many stories to tell. Um, so many times that I was successful, so many times I failed. Uh, okay, one example that I can currently remember is when I was applying to WIUT. So here's the thing, I applied to WIUT. So I did 9 years of school and then 3 years of college. That was back then, that was a style, that was a system. So that's 12 years of education. And 9 years plus 3 years of college. So after the second year from after my college, I applied to WIUT. And at the time it was possible. I don't know if it is still possible to apply before you graduate. So it was possible to apply 1 year before I graduated. And I got admitted to the university, but it was on a contract basis, so I had to pay the fees. And I said, okay, I'm not coming this year, I'm coming next year after I graduate. So the next year I went to back to the uni. I got the offer, and I started to search for different funding opportunities outside the university. And so, for example, at the time, General Motors Uzbekistan was hiring students. They were sponsoring students each year. And I remember that those years were very common, especially for Turin University students. So they were sponsoring quite a lot of them. Again, I don't know if they're still doing that or not, but at the time they were doing it. So I had one of that as one of my options. So I went to the company with my father. We went in and we requested for that sponsoring position, and they said they've already filled up the application. They've already filled up the positions for that year, and they told me that I could come back next year. And it might not have, as you can see, it's academic background. I'm not talking about that kind of experience in my SOP, in my academic statement. It's an academic statement, so I'm focusing more on the academic side. And then this story that I'm talking to you, that I'm telling you, is slightly different. Yeah, it's a personal story. So in a way, after the third year, I was out of school and I didn't have anything. So I had to take a gap year and prepare for the university once again for the following year to apply for the scholarship. And I did, and got the funding from the university, and I did my master's, my bachelor's there. So this is a story, but what's the value out of it? That's something that is unique for everyone. So at the time, for me, the values were quite a lot. So one of the values were sort of like not giving up and being persistent in achieving what you want to achieve. Another value was, okay, so understanding the hardship that from my family side, let's say, that it was very difficult to support financially. So I had to fight for funding and a couple of other things, right? So you'll have to sort of link all of this together to tell your story. Huh.
Yeah, I actually got this, but I have one more question.
Mhm.
We have a lot of experience, as you told. Yeah, we're almost around our 20s, and we have also experience. But my question is, which experience we should choose? While choosing experience, on which aspect should we pay attention more? Yeah, because as you say, in most like letters, the feelings like the overcoming the challenge and others are described. But I have question: if they are all repeated every time, what will be the uniqueness of our letter or personal statement?
Mm, I see your point. Um, it doesn't say it has to be unique. That's the first thing. And when you're picking, pick the one that emotionally affected you, that actually meant something to you. So when you are telling the story, you actually can tell the story in details. Uh, and if possible, try to find the stories that has changed your opinion, that has reshaped you into something else. That happens in many cases. You might try to achieve something over and over and over again, but you fail over and over and over again. And then you might just give up at that point, and then that might be a good experience. It doesn't have to be that you never give up and then you never continue, you never give up and you have to achieve that. So you might give up and then you might find some sort of meaning out of that experience. And you might say it's for the best. It's because out of that, eventually I learned that, let's say, I don't know, I learned some sort of value. But yeah, when you're picking, pick the ones that has affected your life the most. It's hard to say. Indeed, there's a lot of experiences, and then there's a lot of overlapping or similar experiences that you might be having to others.
I got it, but it's kind
Yeah,
of still difficult since the difficulty level of the story might be seem to the like admission officers like not quite serious. For example, if something is kind of nightmare for me, but for the person who's taking my personal statement, it might seem like kind of not a like important story. But I guess this part is a bit difficult for me. But anyway, I'll try. I got your point.
yeah. It's difficult not only for you, for most students applying to universities. Like, even for me, it was always the most challenging part because, yeah, as we were talking about it, it's hard to talk about something that is interesting to the reader, but also it shows that you have grown as a person out of that experience. But keep it personal. It's totally fine to make it a personal statement, a personal experience that has led you to be to develop over time, let's say, out of that experience. Okay. Let's move on. So please provide insight to your potential to contribute to a community of inclusion, belonging, and respect in each other's perspective, experience. We can collaborate, productive, and person. So, what's this line? Again, this is a very similar question. There's no right or wrong answer. It's about how you can contribute back to the community. It can be the community at that university, it can be the community back in Uzbekistan. So if you do have some experiences where you contributed already, that can be a good example to start with. So I've already done this much, and I'd like to continue on that path, contributing in these aspects where it was where I was lacking or where I didn't have enough chance to explore something like this. So please address any concerns you might have in the application. For example, you do not believe that your academic credentials demonstrate true capabilities. Explain why. Also describe any gaps in your academic year and work experience and or any accentuating circumstances in your profile of which the admission commission. Okay, this is a very good point. Many students might be interested in. So there's two parts. This part where you think your credentials, academic credentials, do not show your capabilities. This is where you, if you have a lower GPA, this is where you can explain why you have that lower GPA. So as a woman, you might say, "Oh, I was married at the time, and then during that year I was pregnant, or I had my child, and I was taking care of the child, and therefore it's slightly affected my GPA." You might say, uh, or any other reason if it did happen, but it does not truly show that capability that can be exemplified with the other years, like with the second year and the third year, which does not show this, let's say, drop in my GPA, something like this. And if you did take some gap years, you can mention why you made that gap year and then what you did during that time, right? Again, it can be a great place to talk about different experiences you have had during that gap year. For example, and Sabahat, you're taking a gap year, right? Oh, you're not.
Yeah.
No, you
I
are.
am.
Okay. So during, yeah,
Can I say like because I'm changing my major slightly, I had to take a gap year and learn ML transition.
yeah, that's a perfect reason. So you might say, after my bachelor's degree, I still was not quite sure which path I would like to go to. So I took a gap year to discover different aspects of computer science and or IT in general. And because of some experience you've had, I would assume that you're interested in ML. So because of that experience throughout this gap year, I found my interest in ML, and that's why I would like to continue in this field. Yeah, that's a perfect reason. If there is something that you would like to highlight, you have yet to discuss in other applications, please do so here. You can leave that in the beginning, but later on you can come back and you can leave some comments that might be interesting for the readers, for the application committee, admission committee, but that you have not had the chance to talk about. It's very general. There's nothing. There's nothing like it's right or wrong. It's good that if you have something to share, do share and then highlight that point. But again, yeah, there's nothing. Okay, these are required, but I'm leaving that. I'm leaving that empty. So what happens is when you come to the review part, it already says that, oh, you did not include these things. Okay, so in the program, I didn't put the program degree and requirements. In the references, after the statement in a reference, I didn't add anything and so on. So references, you come here, you put preferably a doctor, their information, their position, and their email address. So this part is important. Use the recommender's institutional or corporate email address. So submissions from anonymous emails like Gmail and may be subject to additional review. So do use an official email address. And yeah, your name can be, it's what the recommender will see. And there's two things. I waive my right to access this report, and I do not waive my access to this report. You can say that you waive it. So it's, if you do so, it sort of tells you that you trust this recommender with whatever the recommendation they give you. And if that's the case, then even if it give you a bad recommendation, you will not be able to see it. Put your signature, which is your full name, and then send to recommender. I will send to this email that you put here the request, and then they'll have to fill it in. And then there's 3 they have to do, as I remember. Usually it's 3. So when it's 3, because you're in the field, you can get 1 from industry and 2 from academia. So 2 professors. One of the professors should be your supervisor for your thesis. So when you're writing your thesis, your bachelor's thesis, you have a supervisor. I know that. Choose them as a first person. The order doesn't really matter. And the second person can be any other significant professor that you had at the university who taught you many subjects, for example, who you worked as a researcher, helped them, for example, with some research. And the third one can be an industrial industrial recommendation, and this one can be reflecting your experience that you had and during an internship, for example. Okay, so during a summer internship where you did very good, go to them. They usually don't really ignore this kind of things. They'll say, yes, I'm happy to do it. It's just one single recommendation letter. So yeah, you'll add all three of them here, and you'll be able to track if they have submitted or not. If they have submitted the recommendation or not, you'll be able to. I'll have to go through the video now before I upload it on YouTube, because there are so many personal information that was shared. And yeah, you come to the review process. At this point, it says save for later because these required fields are not filled. So once you fill them in, it will show you the option to submit. Once you do submit, it'll link you to the next page where you'll have to make the payment for the application. And once you pay, then it will be fully submitted. Okay. You can go home, and then in here, the status changes to submitted. And again, you can start a new application to go from, for example, MS in CS to MS in Business Analytics, for example, which is sort of similar. Not really, but yeah. You can do, for example, economics, and you can do finance if you're interested in two applications. It's not really necessary to do two if it's the only university that you're interested in so much that you want to go there for sure. Yes, you can make two, but better that you do one per university. Okay, any questions?
I don't have any questions regarding the application. Everything is clear.
Mm-hmm. Good. Okay. Sabahat, any questions? No? Shadia, what about you?
I don't have questions too.
Okay, good. That is pretty much it. Okay, so this is a last session that we are having as part of the Alumni Mentorship Program. I hope it was useful. Do let me know if you have any concerns. I think that's everything that we have covered relate to application process, and pretty much any application that you go to, it's the same thing. You just follow the same style. You just have to be careful about the names of the professors and the field of interest that you're picking, and therefore update the application portal and update your statement of purpose and recommendation letters as well. So ask your recommenders to make sure to change the university names when you're applying to different universities. Yeah, that's all we have. Thank you very much. I'm gonna pause.